Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Testing. Okay. Sorry, folks. Okay, testing, testing. There we go. All right. And it says we've got two people on here from my participants. Hey, Sister Denise, can you hear me? Sister D, can you hear me? Sister D, can you hear me? I just need a response. Sister Denise, can you hear me? Okay, so you're online, but you're not paying attention. Denise, oh, I need to admit you. Okay. Hi, Sister Denise, can you hear me? Denise, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Denise, 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 can you hear me? How is it nobody can hear me? How come you're not listening there, Denise? Hmm? Okay, I'll put that back at the bottom. Separate here. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started because I'm getting no response and I want to be kind of stuck with that. So uh, tonight, I want to welcome you back to the Growth Night Leadership Sessions. And we're doing the leadership mindset. I've got another lesson for you tonight. I didn't advertise it, I didn't push it, I didn't promote it. It's just been that kind of day, and I've had to manage a bunch of things, so I'm not making any excuses. It is what it is. So, no publicity. I'm going to teach to the camera tonight. I'm going to teach to maybe an empty room, but Denise is in the room, so it's not empty. But I'm going to teach, and in teaching, I will pretend that you are not here. But I'm just going to share some things tonight for the camera. Hopefully, this will be a lesson that will be worth sharing sometime later. And so, with that said, I want to welcome Yvonne. I want to welcome Denise, and I'm going to mute your mic, Denise, and hope again that this will be a blessing. I'm going to just remove my hat and pray. Father, I thank you tonight for your goodness. Thank you for this opportunity, Lord, to pray. And I ask you, Lord, to anoint me and to use me, making my yoke easy, making my burden light, making the impartation of my life, Lord, and what I have learned, Lord, applicable to those who hear me. I'm teaching a generation that is my contemporary, but the life lessons that we learn are for those who will follow us. I pray that I would not only be limited to this group, but Lord, you would give me a range of people who will come after me and carry these things, Jesus Christ, to your glory, to your honor, blessing many others long after I have left this world. Cover this lesson under your blood. Protect every word, every thought, every idea. May what we speak, Lord Jesus, be philosophical and not personal. May our questions be philosophical and not personal. Help us, Lord Jesus Christ, to use this as a platform for helping others and not just, Lord, for helping ourselves. And we thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Yvonne and Denise, thank you. I would say that what we're going to do tonight is to talk about coaching and the leadership mindset for coaching. Okay, so I'm just going to get ready to share my screen with you. If I can find the screen share thingy. I've got some weird things going on here with my laptop for whatever reason. It doesn't like what I'm doing, and I've got to try and figure out what I'm doing. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I can do what I need to do. And let's do this. Let's share it. Okay. All right. So it's been a while, so I'll go over what we are doing here. We started with our very first lesson on the strength of the leader and his willingness to say no. This was a study in the strength of the leader's character and mindset. We then went to lesson 2 and we talked about our commitment to preparation before presentation. Lesson 3, we talked about the leader's dedication to development before duplication. And I guess tonight's lesson is going to kind of build on that one. Lesson 4, we talked about the leader and the development of leaders around him or her, teaching, coaching, and mentoring. We'll build on that as well. Then lesson 5, we started dealing with the fact that we as leaders were made to work in teams. Part 6, we were made to communicate. Part 7, we talked about being a lone wolf and the lone wolf's transition to work in teams. Part 8, we talked about the lone wolf and his assessment of his organization's structure and status. This is where we honestly look at what things are so that we can adjust and adapt to make them what they ought to be. Part 9, we talked about the lone wolf and his transition to work in teams as a man. And in part 10, we talked about the lone wolf and her transition to work in teams as a woman. And we did that in 2 parts. So part 11 was that. Part 2, transition to work in teams as a woman. And tonight we are dealing with leadership mindset part 12 and the leader and his only obsession. The leader and his only obsession. That is what we're dealing with tonight. The leader and his only obsession. Excuse me. Okay, so what is my job as the leader? What is my job as the leader? Is it my job to do the job, or is it my job to ensure the job is done? If it is the latter, I must recruit, model, teach, train, correct, empower, deploy, employ, mentor, support, and encourage my recruits until they graduate and are commissioned to work with delegated authority and they are trusted to work independently. This is the long-winded version of the job of the leader. This is the job of the leader, is to develop other leaders, to multiply ourselves in others at the level of leadership. Now, transitioning, or better yet, transforming from a lone wolf leader to a group or team leader requires a new job description. So I'd like you to repeat this mantra after me. I am not here to do the job. I'm here to build leaders and teams that will do the job. I am at a certain point in time right now where I am strapped for leaders. I am strapped for leaders at every level of leadership, at low levels, mid levels, high levels, elite levels. I'm strapped for leaders. There are leaders that I know that I have that are at the elite level. For example, there's a man in our church, Brother Durain, who's at what I would consider an elite level of leadership. He works in teams, he builds teams, he builds people, he works with people, he's very people oriented. He's a doer of things as well, and he knows how to get people to join him in getting things done. Very capable, very elite. I wouldn't say perfect, but elite. He's not just someone who follows instructions. He's one who's able to get people to follow him, to follow his instructions. This is very important. Okay. But beyond Brother Durain, there are very few who are in that category. Others are at the level where they, as leaders, are maintaining their groups, but they're not building out leaders or building out other groups. And so it is important that we understand that leadership has various levels. I was speaking to a couple this week, and in speaking with them, I asked them about their experience at our church. The husband in the relationship was at our church for a church service for the first time. He's been here before, but usually related to school things. And this was just his family and he here for church. And I asked him what his experience was like in the lobby when he came to church and, you know, what that was like. And I said, did anyone greet you at the door? Did anyone shake your hand? Did anyone welcome you? Now, he said that they had come late and he could not remember if anyone greeted him. He had no impression to share about how the greeting went. He could not recall anything memorable about his time in our lobby. And I asked some other questions about, what the service was like and whether anyone ushered him to his seat. And the answer to all of that was no. There was nothing memorable about the lobby. He could not say whether he was greeted or not. And I consider that bad. He was not ushered to his seat. I consider that bad. No memorable greeting, nothing with which to go home as a wonderful first impression. Now, I know how to do that job. I'm also quite capable of teaching others how to do the job. And I have done it many times before, and I've done it successfully. And it is my natural instinct to go and do that job because I know I'm perfectly capable and competent of doing the job. And beyond competency, I have a personal, factual knowledge of why that job needs to be done as though it's the only job I'll ever do in my life. Somebody in the Bible said that they'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of God than dwell in the tents of wickedness for a season. Doorkeeping is what ushering and hosting is. And Moses, I believe, was the one who said that he would rather do that than to dwell in the tents of wickedness for a season or to live among the Egyptians and live their lifestyle and do what they do. He'd rather to be that individual that didn't preach the messages, that didn't prophesy the future, but that just told people where to sit, greeted them at the door, made them welcome, feel at home. It's a massively important job. Walmart knows it's massively important. That's why they have greeters at Walmart. You might think they're running a church. There are other places like restaurants that ask you not to be seated until your host comes and gathers you. There is a point of contact that is personal that they want to leave with you as a first impression and hopefully a lasting impression so that you will return and bring your friends. Now, I want to say this to you. If you don't have the why, you don't have the job. You've got to have the why in order to have the job. And if you don't know the why, you'll never build out the job so that it is full and complete and satisfies the individuals or the team or group or the board that entrusted you with the job. The job is not to do the job. The job is to build the job out so that at a certain point, you don't have a job. That's the job. So an unremarkable visit, unremarkable unremarkable experience in terms of getting into the sanctuary, in the terms of being welcomed. I just thought, like, okay, what am I going to do here? Because I'm tired of trying to impart that we need to have people do these jobs, that people do these jobs with excellence, that they do it with the why. They understand that this is a massive point of contact that helps people build a repertoire that says that they will stay. What am I supposed to do? Well, my intention in order to get this done is to leave my keyboards, all three of them on the platform, and leave the pulpit on the platform and go to the lobby and do the job that I have often taught and trained others to do. And I'm not saying this because I want pity. I'm saying it because it matters. The job matters. It matters. And I have a family of 6 that cannot remember if someone shook their hand. That's an opportunity that we are wasting. We can't waste that opportunity. I repeat, I am not here to do the job. I'm here to build leaders and teams that will do the job. But I'm running into consistency issues, promptness issues, dependability issues, the knowledge of purpose and presence of purpose every time the job has to be done so that I don't have to keep saying, do the job, do the job, do the job this way, do the job this way, do the job this way. I don't have to deal with the expressions on faces and in bodies and in shoulders that say, I'm tired of doing this job. I don't see the purpose of the job that I'm doing. It doesn't seem to matter that much. I don't know why I'm out here in the lobby. I could be in church, etc. That is not what we need. And this has got to happen where the leader is competent to teach and the student is willing to learn. And without those two pieces, we have absolute failure. And that, in my opinion, is the state of our church right now. We are just experiencing failure. Everybody wants to be served. Very few want to serve. It's a horrible, horrible situation that I have to deal with and I have to address. So this has to be the change we need, and the time to think this way is now. The primary mindset of this new leader of groups and teams is the mindset of the elevator. The elevator seeks to harness the strengths, gifts, talents, and skills of the recruit for the recruit's benefit. The leader must constantly see the recruit as a disciple into whom he can pour his knowledge, wisdom, and expertise acquired over years of experience. This new leader of teams is a coach of coaches, players, trainers, medical staff, and equipment managers. This leader has one job, and that is to make everyone around him or her better. That's the one job. Pardon me. This has to be the leader's only obsession. Invest in someone who wants it. This is the key. Not people who just feel like it has to be done and nobody else is stepping up, so they will. You've got to invest in someone who wants it and make them better. I have had the privilege of being coached in various disciplines. I've made a list here. It's not comprehensive, but it will cover most of it. I've been coached in music, vocally and instrumentally. I've been coached in vocal groups, duets, trios, choirs, etc. I've been coached in athletics, track and field, football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, badminton, racquetball, and more. I've been coached in writing, writing reports, essays, and books. I have been coached in art, painting, drawing, pastels, oils, acrylics, watercolors, pens, sculpting, pottery, architecture, digital, etc. And I've also been coached in preaching. Similarly, I've had the privilege of coaching others in many of these very disciplines that I listed above. I've been coached and I have coached others. What I was taught and what I learned qualified me to teach what I knew to a new generation that came after me. And this is why learning matters. Some of us just simply don't learn anymore. We don't care about learning. We don't try to learn. We try to be as content and satisfied in our current state as much as possible. We are essentially intellectually lazy. And we are that way because we have no more energy. It could be our health, it could be our nutrition, it could be a lack of sleep, it could be other medical conditions, it could be depression as a result of a failed relationship here or there. Whatever the reason is, we become intellectually lazy. We may even be intellectually arrogant, thinking that we don't need to know anymore because we have learned everything that we need to know. But that's not true. Don't forget that there's a generation, whether it's a contemporary generation or a generation that is coming up after us, not born in our time or year or season, but they are coming up after us, whether it be children or grandchildren, or young people, several years younger than us, 10, 20, 30 years or what have you. They need us to pass on what we have learned. It is so important that we not limit them to what is taught in schools. Schools are teaching that a man kissing a man is okay. Maybe you might not want to trust that institution. They're teaching that a woman kissing a woman is okay. Maybe you might not want to trust them to that institution. They're teaching that men having anal sex is okay. Maybe you might not want to trust them with that. Maybe you don't want to trust them with oral sex on the female side. Maybe you don't want them learning how to read by some supposed transgender who's really just someone who is a transvestite, a man dressed up as a woman, coming in lipstick and heels and fake eyelashes and a wig and a dress to teach them in their pantyhose how to read a book. Maybe you don't want to trust the transfer of knowledge to someone else besides you. That if that's the case, you have to be learning so that you can teach. Now, what I was taught and what I learned qualified me to teach what I knew to a new generation that came after me. My coaches were, for the most part, very good. They taught me what they had learned and knew and imparted it to me so I would grow and mature. Their first concern was not the generation after me, but my generation, which was the generation after them. When I was competent in my area of discipline, I then passed this on to anyone who wanted to grow and learn. It is so key to have the student want to grow and learn. And that desire should come kind of with a certain innocence in terms of ignorance. They should be cognizant of the fact that they should have a posture that says, I don't know anything. Everything that this person wants to teach me is what I want to absorb. I want to be a sponge. I do not want to be a rock. I don't want to be arrogant and proud, saying, you can't teach me anything because I already know everything, so I'll be hard. You want to be soft. You want to gather. You want to learn. You want correction. You want rebuke. You want reproof. You want teaching. You want mentoring. You want training. You want support. You want empowerment. You want encouragement. But all of it has to come together in the mindset of an individual that says, I want to grow and learn. So allow me to cite one example, for example. Let me cite one example. While I attended Brookfield High School from grades 11 to 13, I competed as a high jumper who had no coach. Okay, very important. Brookfield High School, grades 11 to 13. I competed as a high jumper who had no coach. I had a track coach. I had a sprint coach, 100%, but I had no field coach. I had no high jump coach. Until grade 10 at Earl of March High School in Canada, I had only one high jump coach. His name was Mr. Barnaby. And he's memorable. He's memorable. He made a massive impression on my life. He made me a much better athlete in a discipline that I found difficult to master. But he helped me. He helped me in the winter. He helped me in the spring. He helped me in the summer. He was very, very patient. He was a very even-keeled man. He wasn't like me, excitable. He was just very even, very quiet, very cerebral. But he helped me. He helped me in so many different ways. And I learned and I learned and I trusted him. Okay. I didn't have any other coach to compare him to. So it made it easy for me to trust him. I wasn't constantly looking at him as being less qualified than somebody else. He was the only expert that I had, and he was good enough. And he taught me everything I knew about jumping successfully. He took me under his very patient wing and worked with me until I was a proper jumper who knew not only how to jump high, but who also knew how to teach myself and others how to jump high. I knew the mechanics and the science and the dynamics of jumping. I learned how to measure my approach to the bar without error. I knew what distance I had to be away from the bar in order to avoid hitting it on the way up. I knew how to bend my back and land in the pit or mats. I knew the pain of the sport. My heels and my shins often hurt. I knew it so well that after 2 years with him, I could move to another part of my city near Riverside and what's the street? Riverside and Baseline. And I knew it so well that I could move to that part of the city, join a new school, a new team, and teach what I had learned. Here's the rub. Here's the rub. I had to teach what I had learned at Earl of March because Brookfield had no qualified expert on high jump. I was a student and I was also a coach at the same time. I want you to hear me now. Okay, this is so important. You must learn. I annoy you out of your mind in every leadership meeting by giving you something to read. Oh, the hatred, the disgust, the nuisance, the wringing of the hands, the squinching of the noses, the turning up of the faces. You have no idea how discouraging it is to give you the opportunity to learn and to grow and for you to look at it that way. You have no idea. I laugh with you, I make light of it, but you have no idea how that turns me off. It turns me off. Why am I investing in you if you cannot see the value? If you don't see the value, then you despise the value. You become Esau. You look at your birthright and go, I don't think it's worth that much. I'm so hungry right now. A bowl of rice, a bowl of stew, a bowl of lentils, a bowl of lentils is worth way more than my birthright. I'll tell you what. Your attitude needs to change. It needs to change. You cannot grow if you don't learn. The more you learn, the more you grow. It's important, and it's important to have the right spirit about it so that you don't discourage the individual who knows already how to learn, sees your attitude and goes, they don't have the right attitude to learn. I'm going to teach whatever I teach, and it's going to go in the toilet. They have no idea what to do with this. I learned in grade 9 and grade 10 from a man who ended up coaching one of Canada's best national high jumpers, who was a girl who went to his school. I had the opportunity to be coached by that man when he was not yet recognized as a national coach. I had him when he was developing. And God used that man to help me to learn so much about learning. So I know the attitude that's required to learn. I know you can't despise what you hear or what you were taught because you think it doesn't matter or you think it doesn't make sense. That is not the game to play. The right game to play is to be a sponge. If it's water, you soak it up. If it's lemonade, you soak it up. If it's spilt gravy, you soak it up. If it's spilt beet juice, you soak it up. If it's soapy water, you soak it up. Your job as a sponge is not to look at the liquid and say, I don't like the liquid. The job is to soak it up. Okay, so that attitude has to be eradicated because I can't keep giving, as Jesus said, my pearls to swine. I can't keep giving things of value to people that don't have an appreciation for the value. I have got to have a value added interaction. I give a value and you receive a value, just like I was given value and I received value. And I can recognize when there is value in the eyes and the shoulders and the head and the slump of a person. I can tell whether there's value there or not. I know this. And I can tell you something. There is no desire to continue to teach anyone who has that posture. There is no point. And yet, there's much to teach. There's much to share. There's much to do. There's much to grow. There's much to achieve and to conquer. Everybody needs to be like Caleb in the day that he asked for Mount Hebron. He said, I'm just as alive. I'm just as strong. My eyes are not dim and my dream has not abated. I want this mountain. Hey, there are giants there. I have killed a bunch of giants. I've led many troops to kill giants. I'm good. I've learned what it takes to take this mountain. Give that to me. That has to be the spirit. Otherwise, we become the rest of the Israelites. We become the rest of the Israelites who had to be visited by the angel of the Lord and said, why have you stopped fighting? Why have you stopped conquering? Didn't I tell you to eradicate the inhabitants of this land from off the face of the earth? Didn't I tell you that if you followed my instructions, I would give this land to you and you would never be defeated? Why have you not done what I said? And this begins the era of the judges. The era of the judges is God continually refreshing his screen because Israel conquers and then Israel falters. And then Israel is revived and Israel conquers and then Israel falters. And then Israel is revived and then Israel conquers. It's constantly rinse, repeat all the time. We have to learn. And our posture is everything. You cannot go into a classroom and say it's too hard. You cannot go into a classroom and say, this doesn't make sense. You cannot go into the room and say, again, you can't have any of those feelings. You cannot support them. You cannot live by them. You will die by them, right? So I've done 2 years in high school. I am no expert in the sport. I've never been taught how to jump high. I had a talent. I had a gift. But I could only jump possibly as high as a little bit above my waist, a little bit maybe into my chest, but that was it. Mr. Barnaby took me, and when he was done with me, at 6'2", I was able to jump over my head if I was standing up straight and tall. He took me further by teaching me technique, rigorously over and over and over and over. And I remember some nights in the gym and outside, I would jump and fail at every jump. I was lifting weights. My body did crazy things in the air. I didn't know how to control this new muscle and this new fiber I had. I was doing things that absolutely freaked him out. I would jump. And when you jump over the bar, you're supposed to land facing the direction from which you came. I would jump and do a 360 in the air and have my back to where I just came from. He would say, how did you do that? It was weightlifting. I began to tell him what I was doing. He said, I need you to stop doing the weights. We got to work on your technique and don't lift as much so that we can grow and learn at a pace where you don't lose your ability. Very, very good. I learned the right. I learned the wrong. I learned how to feel my body in the air. I learned how to sense where the bar was. He taught me all these things. Listen, you cannot be better if you don't have the right attitude for learning. Okay. And with the right attitude, after 2 years, I ended up at Brookfield High School. Didn't want to be there, but my parents moved us from Carp to that area right across the street from the school. And I went to Brookfield, and they had no high jump coach. I was it. And it was up to me, with the faculty's permission, to teach and train my schoolmates how to jump. I was responsible for them in their respective age groups, including my own. I trained my competition. That's right. Every school has age categories. You have juniors, you have seniors. I trained the juniors and the seniors, and I had to train the seniors that were competing against me. I was the school's best jumper, but I had to train people that were close to me to try to beat me. I had to train them. This is just so important. I'm going to try and help you with this tonight. You have got to have the right attitude to learn, and you have to have the right attitude to teach. I was responsible for everybody, including myself. So I trained my competition. My most dangerous rival I had at Brookfield was a guy by the name of Sylvan McDonald. Sylvan and I are friends today. Sylvan had coiled springs. I believe he was from Dominica. This kid could jump. He had coiled springs for legs. He could just seemingly launch himself into outer space. Yet I had to teach him self-control, how to measure his approach, how to deal with fatigue in a lengthy competition, jump timing, and more. I had to teach him everything I knew in order for our school team to win. I had to be unselfish and even selfless in order to put the school first instead of my desire to win. The competition that we trained for eventually arrived. It was indoors at the old Coliseum at Lansdowne Park. The high jump pool of players was unusually large that year. Many contestants had to be eliminated. Round after round went by until finally it was just the three of us, Sylvan, myself, and another competitor from another school. I'm not sure of the final order, but Sylvan was third. I even coached him through some tough jumps while I contemplated my own. I finished second or first. I'll say that I finished second, but it was very close. What is my point? As a competitor, I had one job: do my best to win. As a coach, I had one job: do my best to help. I'll just stop there and then finish the sentence later. So I'll do it again. Okay. I, I, I had to do one of two jobs. I had to do both jobs. As a competitor, I had one job: do my best to win. As a coach, I had one job: do my best to help everyone on my team win. As a competitor and coach, I had one job: be excellent when called upon to be a competitor and coach. Give my best when I jump and give my best when I help. I'm there to win and I'm there to help. Never cheat the team of my effort and never cheat the team of my knowledge. Never cheat the team. Okay. So I'm kind of winding down a bit and I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to ask you to perform an exercise if you have the ability to do this. I want everyone to try this exercise until you master your ego. I want you to take a checkerboard and play a game of checkers two different ways. Okay. Number one, I want you to play against yourself. All right. I'm going to highlight this right here. Play against yourself. Play both sides of the board. Make your best move whenever it is your turn to play. Once you make a play, turn the board around and make the best play possible for yourself using the opposite piece. Do this until you have won the game and lost the game at the same time. This exercise will teach you to be at your best and to do your best unselfishly. I repeat, playing against yourself to beat yourself, no matter what side of the board you're playing, will teach you to be at your best and to do your best unselfishly. Very important. The second way to play checkers is to play against another person. I'll highlight that. Play against another person, but this time give them the best advice or move to make before they play. Of course, they will make use of their will and do whatever they prefer, but teach them how to beat you. This is especially good to do in a game of Chinese checkers. Constantly look for ways to coach and help as a habit that you want to form. Caleb Nathaniel Benjamin Grant is one of the best, one of the top Chinese checkers players I know. His mother taught him how to play. His father taught him how to win. Once Caleb learned how to win and began to win, he became virtually unbeatable. I don't remember ever beating him since I taught him how to win. I did not look at him as my competition. I looked at him as my succession. I will repeat that. I did not look at my child, the next generation, as my competition. I looked at him as my succession. I will say candidly tonight that I have brought up a lot of young people in the church. As a pastor, I'm not replacing them as a parent. They had parents, and I thank God for every one of them that supported them. As a pastor, I brought up many children in the church. When they were coming up, I gave them everything I had. I mean, I gave them everything I had. I was unselfish about it. My pride and my joy was their success. But when they got older, they didn't see themselves as my succession. They saw themselves as my competition. And they began to rebel. They began to resist. They began to offend even. They began to form cliques and groups. And before long, the church split and many people went different ways. I've never trained someone as my competition. I train them as my succession. It doesn't matter whether I beat them or not. I give them everything that God has given me, and I didn't get everything. I just got everything I got. I gave them everything I got so that they could take all of what I learned and become my successor. My challenge to all of my children has been, be better than your father. That's been the challenge. Be better than your father. Don't be as good and don't be less, but be better. When I'm gone, the world is going to need someone better than me. And so that's my view. That's my mindset. And every one of us must have that mindset. Every one of us is to get that mindset. Everyone is to get that mindset because James says, if you lack wisdom, ask God for wisdom and he'll give it to you without making you feel or look stupid. So ask for it, God will give it to you, and then you can fulfill your job for the generation you're in. Constantly look for ways to coach and to help others as a habit. All right. Now, let's take a look at some essentials for successful coaching. I'm sure you have some questions, but I'm just going to finish. No coach is successful. No coach is successful without talent and talented people to teach. Here are a few things to note when coaching others. I think there are 14. Number one, the coach must know the game or business competently. You've got to constantly be on top of what your game is so you can teach, coach, you can impart, you can correct, you can fix, you can restart, you can refresh, you can motivate, etc. You've got to know your business, you got to know your game, you got to know whatever you're doing competently. You must be competent in order to be confident. I'll say that again. You must be competent in order for you to be confident. Number two, the coach must be a clear and able communicator of concepts, methods, strategy, and goals. The coach must be a clear and able communicator of concepts, methods, strategy, and goals, both in terms of informing and answering questions. Number three, the coach must be able to demonstrate the skills or have someone on loan who can demonstrate the skills and concepts he's trying to teach. He may know what must be taught and not yet even be able to teach it by demonstrating it. That's fine. You can have someone come in who's an expert in the doing of the thing that you know must be imparted and have them convey to your class or your students what they need to learn, even as you maintain control of the class and you continue to impart information. Number 4, he must have talented personnel to impart to. Every teacher needs talented students. Talent is not always apparent because not everybody has their talents developed at the same rate as another or to the same level as another. Therefore, we go to number 5. He must develop latent potential and have the ability to bring the person from nothing to something. You've got to develop dormant potential that is not yet realized, but you must have the ability to see it in the other. That's number 6. You must be able to see the value or potential in an undeveloped individual. You cannot keep picking people for your team that have no talent. In the same breath, you can't keep picking people for your team that are super talented but don't care a lick about growing or developing, being on time and pursuing excellence. All those things are part of learning and developing. Number 7, the person must want to learn. Got to have that. Number 8, the person must want to be corrected. They must want it. Tired of people like not wanting to be corrected. They want rewards, they want praise, they want accolades, they want a pat on the back, but they don't want a slap to the back of the head. Nobody wants a slap to the back of the head, but I've been slapped lots of times. I've been benched. I've been told to sit down at the end of the bench. I've been told to carry water. I've been told that I won't make the team this season, but I can be on the practice roster. I have had that. Most people in the church, it has nothing to do with church. It has to do with the fact that they just don't have a whole lot of life experience. So by the time they get saved, anything that has to do with correction and reproving and that kind of thing, they're not up for it. They've never had to live a life where if they were going to be a part of a club, part of a team, part of a successful program, they had to compete for it. And in order to be successful as a competitor, you had to be coached. In order for you to be coached, you had to have the right attitude to be coached. You had to want to be corrected. If I'm out there on the football field playing in a defensive posture and I don't know how to defend the pass and I don't know how to defend the run and I don't know where I should be positioned and what I should be looking for, and I just get out there and I just keep failing, the coach is eventually going to cut me from the team. He needs somebody who's going to produce. Now, there's one way he can get me to produce. He can correct me. Well, that's not going to work if I don't want to be corrected. If every time he corrects me, I throw the water bottle, I kick the bench, I toss my helmet, I'm going to be gone. And a lot of times we don't do that out in the open in church. We just do it in our heart. But we have to want to be corrected. We're going to get corrected, but we have to want to be corrected. Number 9, the person must want to be better than they are now. If they just want to stand in a position of power and influence, but they don't want to be better, they don't want to grow, can them. They're useless. They'll never serve you the way you want to be served. And the way you want to be served should be the way you served others. This is a grow up session. You got to grow up. Number 10, the person must not want to quit when things get hard, because they're going to get hard. They are going to get hard. Trust me, they're going to get hard. You're going to jump and you're going to do a 360 in the air and face the wrong way 15 times and not know why. You're going to, instead of running up to the bar and jumping, you're just going to stand with your back turned to it, and jump over the bar just to make sure that you face the direction you're coming from. You're going to try short steps, long steps. You're going to try and figure out why you are twisting in the air like you are. What is wrong with you? Things are going to get hard. You're going to go home disappointed at times at night because tonight's practice session was awful. You can't afford to be awful at the track meet, because if you're awful, you don't get to go on to the next qualifying track meet. You want to get to the provincials and, if possible, to the nationals. All of that requires that you succeed. And you, my friend, you and I, you're going to encounter hardship. You're going to get injuries such as I had. I had a pulled hamstring, or a strained hamstring rather, and I also had a twisted ankle, both on the jumping leg. I had to run for the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the 4x1, and do high jump, all in that injured leg. It happened right at the start of the track season, at the end of the basketball season, beginning of the track season. You have to endure hardship. You have to endure it and not quit because it's hard. This is not Christianity. Christianity requires that soldiers endure hardship. Number 11, the person must not look anywhere else for discipleship. This is equivalent to being a traitor to your mentor and your master and your teacher, your sensei, or whoever is the person that is teaching you. You have got to be devoted to your mentor. You have to. You can't backstab them. You've got to be devoted to them. I had a track and field coach. His name was Mr. Hodgins. Mr. Hodgins was also the junior football coach, junior football team coach. He was a very, very nice man, very smart man. He taught chemistry. I think he taught functions and relations and calculus. Smart guy. Hot-tempered, though. Very hot-tempered. He was very fair-skinned, and when he got hot under the collar, he literally had a hemoglobin explosion. His face would just fill with blood. His little mouth would curl over his little buck teeth, and he would spit when he spoke. He had jerry curled hair. White guy with jerry curled hair. Weird thing, kind of a Max Keeping thing. He was not what I call a handsome fellow, but that guy knew track and field. We won so many championships because of him. The junior football team won many championships because of him. Very hard guy. But you don't win by being soft. I've never seen it. I've never seen Kobe Bryant become a winner by being soft. Kobe Bryant was often in the gym 2 to 3 hours before anybody else arrived, including the coach and other players. And he left 2 to 3 hours afterwards. He shot thousands of shots, thousands of jump shots, thousands of foul shots, thousands of three-pointers, thousands of layups, thousands of scenario jumps and shooting. He did that, and then when you saw him in games, it looked easy, but he had put in the work. Okay? But he trusted his coach. And Kobe only played for one team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Michael Jordan, same thing. Larry Bird, same thing. Magic Johnson, the same thing. All the greats tell you it's work. And they point to coaches that help them go forward. You have got to have the same thing. You have your mentor here at Bible Way, then stop looking over at whatever other church and saying, oh, they seem to be, and blah. That ain't going to help you. What's going to cause you to do is to go there to be trained. I've never been that person. I'm faithful and loyal where I am, and God designed me to give the church He gave me the things He gave me to give them. That's what He designed me for. The food I cook is the food I cook. The spices I use are the spices I use. The juices I make, the fruit salad I make, the way I make it, the jello, the way I make it is for the group God's committed to me. I'm not responsible for feeding anybody else, discipling anybody else. It's responsible for here. Why? Because we're unique and we're expected to fulfill our role within the entire tapestry of the church world and to do our job the way God designed for us to do it. He's put the design in the leadership so that those who follow will follow the design, and we will be our round peg in our round hole. Stop looking elsewhere. This is akin to betrayal. If I am your master, then do what I say. Jesus said, don't call me Lord, Lord, and Master when you don't do what I say. If you want another leader, go follow them, but I called you to follow me. So the person must not look anywhere else for discipleship, because the word of the leader he has will no longer be the word he follows. This is wasting the breath and the energy of the leader he has. Okay? Number 12, the person must be interested in learning so well that when they are finished, they will be able to teach what they were taught. I left grade 9, I left grade 10, went to Brookfield at grade 11, and I was a teacher, a bona fide, qualified, expert in high jump coaching when I was in grade 11. And that's the job. I've got to be able to make other people better. I am the John the Baptist of my era. My job is to decrease so that others may increase. Number 13, the person must be consistent and dependable when it is time to train. I hate being Raymond Grant, because when I ask for a meeting, I just hear complaints. I've needed to call a meeting about 2 months ago with our leaders and our staff and our volunteers, and I haven't called it yet because my leaders and my staff habitually buck meetings. They are exhausted at the thought of a meeting that I call. Somebody else calls it, they're good. But if I call it, it's a problem. At least that's how I perceive it. And I don't think my perception is off, because I will hear the moaning and the complaining and how long is this going to be? And they always have another agenda when I call a meeting. I never feel safe. I never feel good. I never feel comfortable. I never feel welcome. I never feel it. I feel that I've got to spend my time trying to pacify everybody. And as a result, I don't really get the commitment I need. What I prefer to have is people who are committed and loyal show up and say, like David's mighty men, what do you need? You want some water from that well? We'll get it. Yeah, but guys, it's it's not really necessary. It's just I just kind of spoke out loud. They said, we'll get it. Don't worry. You sit tight. We got it. We don't have many in our church. We have barely a few who are at that level where whatever the leader says, they are ready to do. Rather, there's more of a God of convenience concern that I have in our ministry. I was just reading that scripture again in 1 Kings chapter 12, I believe, about Jeroboam and the gods that he set up in Dan and Bethel, claiming that these gods represented Jehovah who brought them out of Egypt, these golden calves. Excuse me. I was reading about that and how he set them up so that the people of God in the northern tribes wouldn't go back into Judah to worship at the temple. Excuse me. And I was reading that again today, and I just thought, isn't this where we are at? And why does it not seemingly matter to our church? Why does it not matter? Why? Why? Is it just me? Is it a demonic thing where I'm feeling something that isn't really real? Have I suddenly lost my ability to read the temperature of my church? I don't think I have. We've got to be consistent and dependable when it is time to train. Why am I here? We don't have to. Why do I have to train to say hi to someone at the door? Well, let's put it this way. I'm going to sound like I'm talking down to us, but let me put it to you this way. This training happens with regularity every week at Seth's church. And they have 2 services every Sunday, and they're packing their services out. People that are involved are committed, super committed. They do life together. Several families just went down to Sarnia, to one of the best beaches in Ontario, in their church, and they spent 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 or 5 days there in Sarnia, in the hotels and at the beach, and eating and sharing their lives together. They have that closeness because of their constant meetings, their daily meetings, their weekend meetings, every meeting for the hosting and for the greeting and for Sunday school and for choir and so forth. All of these things my son runs. Seth runs them. Seth could be running it here. He's running it there. Okay. But I can tell you, Seth is absolutely clear-eyed that the attitude of the people there to learn is different than the attitude of the people here. Flat out. Okay. And I can't tell you how many conversations he's had with me about this before he left, because again, he was a part of their lives before he got married. I'm telling you that we're not what we think we are. We're much less, and we need to do the things that I've talked about tonight, which is get our attitude sorted. It's the attitude that precludes our behavior. We need to get that sorted. Okay, lastly, number 14, the person must be committed to the reason why their training matters so much. The reason why it matters. It cannot be a head thing. It has to be a heart thing. It really does. It must be a heart thing. When I greet someone at the door, I greet them as though this will be their last time back, and I don't want it to be their last time. I don't take their coming for granted. So when I greet them at the door, trust me, I'm going to stop the share so you can just see my beautiful face. I treat them like it's going to be their last time. And I don't want it to be their last time. I want it to be their forever time. I want them to feel like they've never been loved this way in their life. I want them to feel like they don't want to be anywhere else but in our lobby. I'm not even pushing the church service yet. The lobby is my sanctuary if I'm greeting. The lobby is my worship space when I'm greeting. The lobby becomes my watchtower when I'm greeting. I am standing at those pillars of glass on either side of the doors. I'm looking out into the parking lot. This is what I actually do. I'm not making this up. When I do this job, I know this job. This job's a brilliant job. It is, to me, the number one reason people either stay or they never come back. I look out through those pillars of glass and I look into the parking lot and I look for people who are coming. If I don't see nobody coming, I pray that people will come. Because you see, I understand the job. The job is not to be a dead weight in the lobby who just shakes hands with a dead fish handshake and say hi with a plastic smile and then act lost like I don't know how to help anybody. I don't know how to direct them into the sanctuary. I don't get name, address, phone number. I don't act like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not saying that people who do it don't know what they're doing. I'm saying that when I do it, I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about me. When I do it, from the time I was in Toronto to the time I'm here, I've always been the same way. This is the last time they come back unless I do something about that at the door. That's my approach. It's not a job. It's a ministry. Eternal souls are depending on how I handle them. If I don't see enough parking spaces filled up, I pray that God will bring enough cars to fill up the parking spaces. I'm constantly counting them because every parking space that has a car in it had to have someone or many people in them, and those spaces represent a soul. I know the job. You don't have to tell me the job. You don't have to inform me. You don't have to say nothing to me. You don't have to instruct me about nothing. I know how to elevate a welcome. I know how to park a car. I know how to do valet parking. I know that. Nobody had to tell me because if you care, you already have a plan. If you care, you already have a strategy. If you care, you already have a method. If you care, if you don't care, someone has to constantly say, hey, do this, do that. Did you do that? Have you done that yet? Look, get to it right away, please. Blah, 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 blah. If you don't care, that's what happens. When you care, it's easy. I take coats, never let you hang them up. I just direct you to either the washrooms or to the sanctuary doors where someone else should be able to take you to a seat. Massive numbers of contact, points of contact at the base of the stairs, points of contact at the top of the stairs in the lobby, points of contact in the cloakroom, points of contact at the welcome desk, points of contact at the door until they're seated, points of contact. I know the job. Okay, so all I'm saying to you is this. That can be taught. It has to be taught to the right people. My opinion, if it's just us tonight, I don't think we have enough of the right people. I personally don't think so. I think we have too many of the uninterested, unmotivated. Maybe we have some who are like in Jesus' day, people who have not yet worked and it's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And Jesus says, how come you all not working? They said, nobody asked us. Maybe that's going on too. But I'm a volunteer at heart. So I'm not inclined to accept that as an excuse. I think it's just a reason just to stay comfortable and lazy and to be uninvolved, and to continue to come to a building without any sense, any clue, any idea, any awareness of purpose. I don't function that way. I don't function that way in my head. And as much as everything can be taught, must it be taught by one person? Must I leave the keyboards and go to the lobby and greet? Must I leave the keyboards and go to the parking lot and park? Must I do it myself while there is no one to play? And while, even though there's a substitute to preach or teach, I'm in the lobby doing a job that someone who's not been called to preach could do. And though personally, I'd rather do that job than most anything else in church because I'm good at it and I get it and I understand it. Most of what pertains to that job requires an example, not books, an example. So that job can't be taught but by someone who gets it. It's not about writing names in a book and counting numbers of heads, and it's more than serving coffee. It's way more than that. And although all of that is, I guess, okay, it's pointless if it's purposeless. So I hope you get my drift tonight. I'm very passionate about this, and I'm not really too careful about feelings or anything at this point because we're past feelings. We are not growing. That's the point. We're not growing. The CLC graduation weekend saved our behind. 180 people were here. We had an average of 93 that month. If it wasn't for that, we would have had dismal numbers. There is not going to be a change without us changing. And if we're not going to change, there will be no change. And if there's going to be no change, I have to seriously evaluate whether I need to be here or not. I want to grow, but if I'm going to do it and not be a lone wolf, everybody has to grow. Everybody has to shift. Everybody has to. And it is difficult in this environment to say those words with that passion without everybody being offended. But it's not working by not saying anything. It's not working by being cute. We have to do something else to be our best. And the best thing that we should be doing is developing others. But here's the rub. If they don't care, if they don't want to, can't do a whole lot. I'll close by saying this. I remember a time when some of our young people became young men and they were playing football in the city with some clubs here. I saw some of the strangest and weirdest things happen. Things I never taught, things I never imparted, never. Things that were embarrassing to me because they were operating in highly talented individuals. But here is what I saw when I would go to the games and support these young men. I saw young men go to games in full gear to play football who had not attended a single practice the entire week. I never taught them that. I definitely wasn't taught that. My coaches taught me that failure to be at one practice meant you didn't play. Repeated absences from practices meant you were off the team. And yet, because there was a glut of talent or an elevation of talent in these young men, they were being used and they were being allowed to play. They were being rewarded for delinquency. I found that embarrassing to me, as someone who had taught them differently. It was an embarrassment to me for the coaches of those teams because I just thought, what message are you sending to these players? There's no consequence. Eventually, these players grew up. Some grew out of their childishness, some didn't. Some achieved good things, some didn't. But I will tell you what, the kids I've seen succeed are the kids that didn't miss practices. I can think of one, Cedric Colas. Now he's got a Haitian mother, so there's a problem there if he decides he's going to be delinquent. School grades were good. Athletic attendance spot on. My own children, Brother Carter's sons. These were not people that missed practices, but I watched other kids miss and get rewarded for it. There is no reward for us, folks, for us being missing in action, missing in meetings, missing in growth opportunities, because God is the one who's the coach. God is the owner of the team, and God is the one who rewards. And he will reward every man according as his work shall be. And if he doesn't see you sweat in the practice, he's not going to reward you openly in the day of the competition or in the day that it matters. We need to shift. And that shift is to be the best that we can be so that we can be the best help to those who will be. I have to be my best so that I can impart the best of myself. If you are an individual who is like Elijah, and your repertoire of gifts and talents and abilities are pretty limited, your personality is highly restrictive, you're not required to be Elisha in order to be an imparter. You just have to be who you are. Impart what you've got. See, such as I have, give I unto thee. So, in the day of his translation, Elijah dropped his mantle onto the ground. Elisha picked it up, put on the mantle, and was immediately given a portion of, a double portion rather, of Elijah's spirit. He now had the capacity to do double the amount of miracles Elijah did. He did 7 notable, and Elisha did 14 notable miracles. What am I saying? Elijah just imparted Elijah. He didn't impart Isaiah. He didn't impart Jeremiah. He imparted Elijah. I am not complete without Yvonne imparting to me. Yvonne. Not complete without Denise imparting to me. Denise. I'm not complete without Sister Virginia imparting Virginia to me. I'm not complete without Christine imparting Christine to me, and Caleb imparting Caleb to me, and Charity imparting Charity to me. I am not complete without Robert imparting Robert to me, and Blake imparting Blake to me, and Wendy imparting Wendy to me, and Renee imparting Renee to me. It is not necessary for you to be me to be qualified to impart. It is necessary for you to be you to impart you. That's all we're imparting. The immature will want me to be something other than what God made me to be, so I can qualify in their eyes. That is immaturity. That is high level immaturity. No one should be subjected to that level of immaturity. That is the level of a gnat. It's the level of a flea and a tick. Nobody should be limited to that. Be who God made you to be. A tree does not ever try to be a mountain. A mountain never tries to be a valley. Stop trying to be me. Just be you. Be everything that your world and life experience is intended to make you to be, so that the uniqueness of you, the glory of you, the beauty of you, the tragedy of you is imparted to me as a lesson that I can grow from. But let me be blunt, if you're stupid and you stop learning, if that's a choice. If you make the choice to be stupid, to stop learning, not to use the intelligence God gave you, your life experiences, all those things to become the best version of yourself possible. And in the process of becoming the best, share as you go along. Then, folks, you are going to leave the world incomplete. There's going to be a piece of this puzzle that we'll never find, because you will take it with you when you go. You should have left it before you go. Be that individual. Be that individual. Love yourself, honor yourself, treasure yourself, bless yourself. You're not a loser. You're not a waste of space. You're not a waste of time. You are just pricelessly you. Nothing else like you. God never made a copy of you. You are all there is of you, and the world is vacuous without you. It is empty in your space without you. We need you, and we need you to impart you to us. Teach your children and your children's children. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength. That is what we need to do. And like I said at the top, if you trust the public education system to teach it, your children will become a bunch of anarchists. You guys will be rolling up on the police. Try not to get killed by ICE. You'll be fighting battles that you have no business fighting. You'll be doing free Palestine. You'll be shouting every cause the devil is sponsoring with dark money, and you will not know that you're being led by the blind. Learn. We have the obligation to teach. We have the obligation to coach. We have the obligation to elevate and to empower. God bless you. I'm going to ask you to turn on your mics. If you want to give feedback, you're not being compelled to do it, but if you want to give feedback, you're free to do it. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. But that is our lesson for tonight. Thank you very much for your time and your patience. And I'll just check what time it is. 8:51. All right. Go ahead, please.
Praise the Lord. Well, thank you, Bishop. Oh, sorry. Are you there?
I am here.
Sorry. Yes, I thank you. There is a lot for me to absorb. And my number one thing is basically the will, the being trained or having to train someone. I have to want it in order, even if I cannot do it, at least I want it, and willing to commit and to stand by the commitment until I get to a place where it is understood and I can be trusted with whatever area or aspect of what I'm being trained for. But consequently, the same uh, we cannot, I cannot impart something, whether it's a child or raising a child that is not ready. Now, mind you, it's different. Raising a child to me, there is the aspect of discipline and you don't have any choice type of thing. Because later on, my children are there now where they're saying, Mom, you were right. But when it comes to training, let's say I am here, one of the things that the responsibility at the church as prayer coordinator. Well, if there is no desire to be trained or um, to get to a place where what is to be imparted, one wants to receive it, then that's where sometimes I find, okay, we're stuck. There's a lot of potential. There is a lot of interest, but sometimes the commitment, for whatever the reason, is not there. Sometimes I find that a challenge. And I do believe maybe also I am there at a place that maybe you see a potential in me, but I am not there to receive it. So I can understand where it become frustrating, but and rewarding also when the opportunity is there to pass on a mental. The other thing that you mentioned is like when you were in high school, that high jump. Uh, when you are imparting, when you were now at a place that it was not there, the interest was still there, and there was a need that you saw, and there were students that wanted that sport. So and maybe some didn't want to. Nevertheless, you give everything that you knew, you give the right thing to give, and even it doesn't matter if it's a competition. If it's gonna become a competition, you still give it with your whole heart. You gotta do it because you love it. So those are some of the things that spoke to me. Everything is good. Again, to do it with your heart. If you're doing something and your heart is not in it, even before God, it's worthless. How much more it will not be, it will be felt that it is a surface thing, it's superficial, and the heart is not in it. But one thing that I have to say, Bishop, is somewhere along the way there has to be a growth, because if from the day I come in, I know kindness is good, I know it is very good to be embraced, to be approached, to, from the door to the lobby, we are a church that truly genuinely love and everything, but many people just expect it to continue and never get into a place that, hey, I have matured, and now let me serve like I was served. The expectation remained the same 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. If one day this catering doesn't happen to that person, it's like, well, I am leaving, that the church has changed, and not even seeing, and maybe it's a negative, not even seeing that, hey, so where, if it's not in one's heart to understand, I've been here, I was sick, now the Lord touched me and he healed me, let me put my hand and assist. And if, where does that change? Is it God who makes it, and how do we teach that to somebody? um I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I think I do. I think I do. And I don't think I have an easy answer for you. I wish I did. Sister Virginia,
But do
I
you
wish
understand
I
what I am
did.
saying?
Yeah, I wish I had an easy answer. The question was how.
Okay.
The question was how. So there's no easy answer, because personally
Okay.
I don't want to do what I am naturally inclined to do. I want this to be of God. I want God to
Yes.
put it, when God puts it in your heart to build, you build,
Yes.
you build no matter what the enemy says and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to scare you and get legal actions taken against you, like in the days of Nehemiah. The wall was rebuilt because the people had a mind to build. Did God
Yes.
do
Amen.
that? I don't read where it says God did that. I I
All
I
right.
read where it seems to indicate that the people saw what had to be done, the necessity of what had
Mm-hmm.
to be done, and they just decided they were going to do it. As long as they had the leadership, they did it. They had a mind to work. They just needed the leadership to bring that together. I don't feel we have a mind to work. I've been feeling that for months. I don't feel we have a mind to work. I'm feeling that from since the beginning of the year. I believe that everybody is suffering some kind of spiritual, emotional fatigue, including myself, and
Mm-hmm.
that what we want is to rest. We're like David's mighty men who, when they fought, and their wives and their kids and their stuff were kidnapped and stolen, they were too tired at a certain point to cross the river and to have victory. Well, those who were not too tired crossed and had the victory. Then, when they crossed back, the folks that had crossed over said that the people who didn't cross were not deserving of the spoil and yada, yada, yada. And David said, no, everybody gets everything.
Everybody.
Okay.
Mm.
But having a mind to work was a precursor to the leadership working. If the people did not desire to build, if they did not want to build, when the leadership presented the opportunity, the wall would not have been rebuilt in 52 days. No way, Jose. The people had to have the mind to work. Now, to say that they saw the need and responded accordingly is one thing. To say then that God cannot then do that supernaturally is a mistake. God can. My question philosophically
Okay.
is that what God wants? Does God want us to live off of emotional, intellectual, and spiritual welfare, where He does all the heavy lifting and we do none? Or does God want us to want it?
My answer to that, which I think he wants us to want it. We have to want it. Then he assists us.
And that is also my like I agree with you. That's the way I see it as well. God wants us to want it. But my honest assessment of our ministry, of our church, of our people is they don't care. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be blunt. They don't care. They just want to come. That's it. Everything else, life is busy, family is busy. All of our senior citizens are busy and they're tired and they've worked and they've done the heavy lifting. And the young people have left and they did not become successors, they became competitors. So we don't have the help now at this stage of our life that we are due. And so there's that. And then there's a disbelief or an unbelief in me that every pastor has got great ideas, but nothing ever really comes to pass. And so everybody's got this kind of cognitive dissonance where if I say something, it just goes in one ear and out the other because, well, whatever, that doesn't mean anything. The one thing we can count on is we'll be here and we'll be here next week. That's my impression. That's my awful impression, but it is my impression. I deal with it every single day when I pray or I think about what we're doing. I am constantly addressing that in my thoughts. It's hard to preach hard when it doesn't feel like it's going to matter anyway because nobody cares. At least that's the way you feel. So I think at the end of the day, I want it to be God. I don't want it to be Pastor Graham pulling teeth. I don't want to be beset with depression because I find out that everybody's mad about this message and about that word and why did he do that and so forth. I don't want to be in all that. I want God to do it so that I get a chance to do what the Bible says about the preacher. He should be able to do it with joy. Okay? So the
Praise
preacher
God.
should also be enjoying the fruit of his labor. And I'm not. I do my job, but I'm not enjoying the fruit of my labor. Much of my fruit is elsewhere. Much of it is in Stittsville or in Toronto or BC or wherever it is. Much of the fruit of my labor is not anywhere where I can reach out and grab a bite of it. Okay, fine. The labor here, again, this church is very static and stagnant in its motivation to work compared with the youth that were here before. And all of the adults who brought up those youth were buoyed by the energy of that youth, and it isn't there anymore. So everybody's feeling it. And then Satan's trying to dump on top of it, and we've been under attack and yada yada yada. Whatever. I am not afraid of an honest assessment. I am not, because I can't change anything if I don't know what there is to change. However, back to the question. If there is a how to it, there may be a better how than what I am voicing, but my particular bent is I want God to do it. Not because I'm lazy, but because I know that I have this incredible ability to offend when I get passionate. I don't want to offend anybody. I want people to rally. When I was in the sports world, the way we rallied was behind the passion of our leader, which was our coach. Our coach would get us in the huddle. Our coach would speak to us passionately, sometimes angrily, sometimes yelling, sometimes swearing. The idea was he needed to effect change before the game was over so we would win the game rather than lose the game. I am used to that. All of my children are used to it. All of their coaches, so far as I know, swear. Tiffy's coach, I've not heard him swear, but I'm not at her practices as much as I was at everybody else's. But they're used to going into a halftime huddle and the coach being terribly upset. And all he did was cuss from top to bottom. I was standing nearby, I could hear everything. Cuss, 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 angry, eyes popping. They get back out on the field and they win. They didn't take it personally. I grew up in that environment. You guys didn't. So if I come across that way, guess what? That's how I learned.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to appreciate it. You don't have to like it. I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you perspective. That's how I learned to win. That's how I learned about what mattered. Was that if it mattered, you expressed it. Now, I don't cuss, I don't swear, but I will speak passionately. I'll speak from the core of my innermost being. And what happens is that in an environment that is immature, that doesn't understand purpose, that doesn't understand how to get from here to there, that's personal. I've talked to a pastor there in Montreal. He's a pastor of Wisdom and Life Apostolic Church. And he was a former player in the Canadian Football League. He's a pastor of that church, apostolic. Okay. Came out from under Bishop. Oh, he's in Montreal. Sister Yvonne knows who I'm talking about. Bishop McKenzie, Montreal. West Island. He came out. That guy's a rough guy. That guy. I am a baby in wet diapers going boo boo da da moo moo compared to this guy. Bishop McKenzie he's a grinding stone, this guy. Browbeat the tar out of you. Never have anything positive to say to young people. He comes out of that. And he's now pastoring his own church. His brother is one of Brother Hopeton Morris's right-hand men in his church. And this young man used to play in the CFL. He invited Christine and I to minister at his church one time, and we got talking in one of our downtimes. And he said to me, you know, Brother Grant, the people in the church have no idea how to win. I said, I get it. I have seen it for years. He said, the way we were trained as top level athletes, I said, bro, you're preaching to the choir. The way we were trained, the way we were raised up, almost like in the military. He said, the things we understood about discipline and correction and authority, he said, no one in our churches gets. I said, I understand that. I completely get that, bro. I completely get it. He's so frustrated. He has a son who is a top flight Canadian junior hockey player. He's probably drafted in the pros right now. I believe he is. I think he may be drafted by the Boston Bruins. He has a daughter who is a top flight. I can't remember what discipline she's in. I think it's basketball, but they're top level athletes. He's black, Jamaican, the pastor, and his wife is white Canadian, just like me. We who've been in that, we know what we're talking about. Everybody else who hears us thinks that we're just talking down, but we're not talking down. You cannot achieve anything excellent if you do not have a certain mindset. And it doesn't mean that your personality has to be sour, but you have to have a certain mindset. Sister Yvonne is here. She's achieved much in her life. I respect her so highly. She has maintained her personality while having the mindset to achieve as an individual, as a professional, as a mother, and now as a grandmother. She has done all things well, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But she's also taught the discipline to her children so that her children are successful financially and educationally. And they have their sweet personality. But not everybody has a sweet personality. Elijah didn't have a sweet personality. Why did God look at him and say, bro, you're really crusty. I'm not using you. You need to soften up. He needed that crusty guy to deal with Ahab and Jezebel. Are you kidding me? He needed Elisha to be who Elisha was to deal. Jesus needed to pick up a whip and kick over tables. You have to be who you are. You have to be a man after God's own heart. You have to be the tallest man in the crowd. You have to be the wisest man on the planet. You can't be anybody else. And it is so grossly unfair to demand that other people be you.
That's right.
Because you can't handle someone being themselves. It's one of the most wicked things on earth. Are you the Messiah? They would say to John. He said, I'm not the Messiah, man. Give me a break already. How many times do you want me to answer that question? I am not him. And this is one of the things that the mature have to have, who are constantly challenged to be somebody else. They have to know who they are, and they must also know who they're not.
Amen to that.
Okay? Be yourself. Be yourself, man. Be yourself. You've not loved yourself completely till you've been yourself and you love yourself. All your flaws, all your zits, all your blackheads, all of your chapped lips, every one of these blemishes on your neck, you got to love yourself. Because God loves you. God is using you to be you so that nobody else can claim you. And then when he comes again, he raptures you. Okay? This is so important. But back to the work. How are we going to get everybody? I'm calling a meeting. Now that you know it's out there, I'm easier that way. If I'm holding something in, I can't really come and pretend. So this is therapy for me. I got it out. Okay? I'm calling a meeting. You know what? I want to do a call on a Sunday where I know everybody will be there. Just when I have guests. It's not appropriate. But I need a day to call the church to attention and say, we're not good. We don't work. We don't have our act together. And very few, if any, no, there's no if any, very few ever ask, what do you need? So, and those who ask there's a levels to this. What do you need? Say what you need, but they're just doing token work. There's no presence. I am required to be present for you, for Gemma, for Nikki, for Martha, for Biko. I'm required to be present for Lynn's family, Caitlin, and all the others that stood by her side while she passed away. I'm supposed to be present for Eric. I'm supposed to be present for Broadfield. I'm supposed to be present for a whole bunch of people. Nobody expects me not to be present, but not everybody expects to be present for the other. So we have little streams leaving Eden. They all go in different directions and they just kind of flow out and don't ever flow back except for the first couple. So we have to change. We have to change. And I'm not saying my remarks about the lobby, I'm not saying that what is working isn't working. I'm saying what is working is not working to fulfill the purpose. So that has to be completely reorganized. Okay. So some are not healthy working out there and they need to get off their feet and come back inside. I know that story. I know it well. But the need is there. People are going to be late. If they're going to be late, they can't show up late and nobody greets them. Can't. Our welcome desk is not being used. We paid a good load of money for it, had it shipped, had it wrapped, paid money for that. It's not being used. I'm just going like, what? Doesn't anybody see this? So I would love to have help from someone who's better than me, like Seth, for example, and Rebecca. But I feel very awkward asking for their help. As much as the families get along, I feel awkward and I don't like feeling awkward. And if I feel awkward, there must be a reason why I feel awkward. So I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But we need help. And I believe that we are capable. I believe that we're the generation of Joshua and Caleb that can say, we are well able.
Mm-hmm.
Just us. We
Amen.
are well able to do this. You say, bro, well, there's a lot we don't know. We can learn. We can learn. We can write our own books. We can write our own songs. Why does that trouble us? Why do we constantly talk ourselves down? Why is there a spirit of self-consciousness that's constantly saying that, oh, we don't have to do that. The wheel has already been invented. We don't need to reinvent it. And yet I see all these churches doing their own thing. And I'm like, why? Why don't we do ours? Okay. There's got to be a shift. Nonetheless, whatever we do, if we will make the commitment that we will learn and we will grow, and then before we die, we will share that as Yvonne is doing with her daughters, doing with her son-in-law, doing with her grandchildren, okay, and doing it with people she's mentored on the job, all right? She's doing now for her mom, and like, Yvonne walks that walk very, very clearly. I say, if we will make the commitment to learn so that we can share, we will have helped ourselves massively because it will not be incumbent on one person to do it all. Everybody will be doing it. I thought I'd have so much time since I came back from New Brunswick. You know what I've been doing? Counseling. Counseling. I spend so much time with people, which is good. I spend so much time on the phone, which is good. But the administrative things for which I've cried for years for help, I don't have. And so I've got to do the administrative and the personal, interpersonal stuff. I sit here every day, okay? And every day I declare to myself, I have not done the important things. I've just done the urgent things. And so the trip to Pakistan is planned out, but I don't have a visa yet. I need a visa. Tickets not bought yet, and it's the middle of July, and I leave the 6th of September
Mm-hmm.
supposedly. Like, so important things are not being done. Planning for the All Nations Conference not done. All the important stuff. So I'm spending hours counseling, and I guess the floodgates have opened on that. I hope I'm doing a good job. Hopefully, I'll save some marriages and save some households and some families. But this was supposed to be handled through the Bible Way World Outreach College, where we trained counselors so that the load would be lighter. On and on I can go. There's just been, in my opinion, a lot of failure. I am not a failure, at least I don't want to be, but I failed a lot. And I really don't know how to get out of my spin cycle. So I encourage you, do your part. You have a body of knowledge on prayer, share it. share it.
Amen.
You have a body of knowledge on pastoral care, teach it, formalize it, bookalize it. You know what I mean? Write a book, write an instruction manual, share it, develop systems before you die, develop them in such a way where they can be passed on. I don't have to tell you that, but I am telling you, and I'm encouraging you. You have daycare experience, you have business administration to learn, share the daycare experience, learn the business administration, impart, impart, impart. Your business, Sister Denise, should have been franchised. You should have had another one open. There are many of them doing that in Ottawa. Whatever, call it kitty care, 1, 2, and 3, they're out there. Yours has the exact same vision in God's mind. You have got to grow. When will it happen? How will it happen? It has to happen. There has to be a clear vision. And if you don't begin looking for a place to expand, you'll never find it. So all these things are part of our development and growth, but God doesn't want that happening at the expense of the ministry. He wants it happening in conjunction with the ministry. So the things I learn are principal things that can be applied to kingdom things. I bring them into the kingdom so that the kingdom may also benefit, grow, and prosper. So do that to the best of your ability. I'm not complaining. Y'all, listen, I just tell the truth. I'm not complaining. It sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining. I'm not whining. I come here every single day and I serve and I don't whine. Denise knows it because she's here every day pretty much. Virginia's here pretty much every day. Whether I don't complain, I don't whine. I just do what I got to do. Okay? If I don't have a car, I used to always ask Brother Brown or somebody to pick me up, carry me, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that anymore. I just walk. I walk home. I walk to church. I walk to the garage. Whatever I do, I just walk. Not like I don't complain. I try to be better. I just move on. But it doesn't change the facts. The facts are the facts. And those facts need to be altered by my behavior, by my action. They must be. I want a choir, but I've not dealt well with some bad egos, so I am not doing the choir anymore except with the children. The children want to sing, and they're not great singers, to be truthful. As you know, at least 20 to 30% of them are absolutely horrible in terms of singing, carrying a note. They have to tell the truth. I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I'm allowed to tell the truth, but they want to, and guess what? I can teach them. So I'm teaching them. And so we're planning to cut an album. That's what our plan is, with all the songs that they've written and which we've rehearsed. That is my plan. So I just, at some point, I've got to teach somebody how to play this thing that I'm playing so that Daddy Grant don't have to play no more. I got to teach somebody, John's got to teach somebody to play drums so that John's not the only one that has to play. Marco can play, but I don't think Marco wants to play because I've said, whenever you're here, please just come to the drums and play. Marco just sits with his wife and his son, and maybe that's where he wants to be. Okay, fine. So, what do you want me to do? You want me to play the drums and the keys and lead worship and greet? And no, that don't make no sense. That make no sense to me whatsoever. But I cannot impart purpose except the way that I'm designed to. I want all you ladies to listen, Yvonne, Denise, and Virginia. I'm designed to be intensely passionate. That's the way I am designed. You're not going to change that. There's no book I'm reading on anger management and rise of rage and 10 minutes with Jesus that's going to change that. That's the way I'm hooked up. That's how I got here. That's how I survived suicide. What do you want from me? Lose a thing that made me live? No. That's how I got married. That's how I raised my children. Intensely passionate. That's me. And if I'm not me, who am I? So I'm just going to be me. And I don't take it personally when somebody's them. They're just them. I'm mature enough to handle that. be likewise minded, and just understand that once we get into that box together, once we're in that boat together, we are rowing together. Everybody's life depends on it. The person that beats the drum, that sets the rhythm for the row, they're important. The people with their hands on the oars, they're important. The people that built the boat, they're important. The people that put provisions on the boat for all of us who are going to be thirsty and hungry after our good hard row, everybody is important. If we're going to win our wars from these boats, everybody's got to understand that unless we do our job, some of us are not coming home. Some of us are going to be orphans. Some of us are going to be dead. Some of us are going to be wounded, injured, and maimed. But we've got to all do our job. And that's what I'm yearning for and striving for. I want unity of heart where we're happy and we're getting along and we're harmonious. But it has to be more than that. Our unity has to serve the purpose of us all pulling on the rope and we win the tug of war, where we're all rowing in the same direction and we get to our destination. Every one of us has to be doing that. If we can, and I know that we can, if we do it, I don't know that we will, then there are good things in store for us because God will honor the fruit of our labor. All right. Sorry for keeping you so long. It's probably 11 o'clock, midnight. Oh, it's only 9:24.
Mhm.
That feels better, right? Sister Yvonne, I don't know if you're asleep. If you are, I don't blame you. If you're not asleep and you wanted just to say a word or two, feel free.
Sister Denise is not far.
Oh
Mr.
yes,
D?
Denise. Oh yeah, because of the echo, I realized why you did that.
Yes. He doesn't have anything to say. He said. That's what you said?
Did she say that Sister Virginia said everything she wanted to say?
No, did you? No, she didn't say that. But she barely keeping awake,
All right.
but
Well,
she's awake.
she needs to sleep. Sister Vaughn, go ahead. Your mic is on.
Okay. Well, Pastor, appreciate it. Lots of food for thought. The plate is full, and there's a lot to consider here.
Okay.
But right now, I don't have specific feedback right now.
Okay.
There's lots to think about.
Okay. Well, I'll close off. My takeaway is simple. Do everything in your power to win. And one of the ways you can win is to do everything in your power to help someone else to win. And I don't know what Jesus is going to say when I meet him, but I got to make sure that whatever I do, he can say, you helped as many as you possibly could. Because that's my job. And if I get that, I don't know if the rest is going to be really bad, but I must get something right. And that one thing must be I helped as many as I could to be better. And I'm striving. I don't have formal education in counseling like Jonathan or like my sister Julie. I have a gift. I have a gifting. That's what I have. And I work with that gifting that the Lord has given me. I work with the wisdom and the counsel he gives me. That's what I do. I don't have book knowledge on counseling. But whatever I have learned, I try to give away. I don't want to die with my anointing. I don't want to die with anything left that I didn't give away. That's the dream. My goal is simple. I want everybody to be better, especially my children. I want them to be better than me. I don't want them to be less. And when they struggle, when things are hard for them, it really hurts me. It doesn't hurt me in a negative way, like I blame God. I know you ladies understand what I'm talking about. There's just it's like you're feeling it too. So it hurts me that way, empathetically. But I want them to be better. I want them to be better people. I want them to be better financially. I want them to be better in every which way in the ministry. I want them to be better. And that's the goal. That's my pride. That's my joy. It's not anything else. When I impart to the kids at CLC, Cedric wasn't at CLC, but that age group, Caleb, Mark, Sanjay, Charity, Taylor, Olivia, and others. When I impart to that group, Nevin, Nathan, Nathaniel, Nicholas, when I impart to that group, I held nothing back. Nothing back. Nothing at all. Ever. Did not deny them anything that would make them better winners. But at some point, there is an expectation. It's supposed to be the cycle of life that when we roll over and put things into another, when it is our turn now and we're in need, they will roll over and return to us. I'm seeing this now with my father and I. And so this rollover continues. What happened to me is I got a flat. The successors became competitors, trying, and I'm telling you just the facts, trying to prove they knew more, they knew better, they could do it without me, yada, yada, yada. I micromanage, I'm too much, da, da, da. When they were coming up, I wasn't too much at all because I was all they had. Sister Cleta, just the other day, she told me that she and Nadia, her daughter, were just talking about the time that Cleta's husband died, Nadia and Natalie's dad died, right? And how I went to their home and how I cooked. It was not just me, it was me and Brother Carter. We went there and I cooked for them and made them happy and cared for them until the funeral and so forth. And it was odd that same week, Sister Virginia, I had the exact same memory and was thinking about them, never knowing I would see Cleta that weekend. So, at a certain point, I couldn't tell them anything. I couldn't teach them anything. And I'm just going like, what happened? I didn't change. I was still teaching.
You did not move from the seat.
Yes, I was still driving. I was still mentoring. I still loved them. I didn't want them to get hurt. If they made a bad car purchase, I would advise them, say, look, you should have consulted before buying this car. This car has problems. Lo and behold, the car had tons of problems. But it was resented that I didn't just rejoice over a bad choice. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have just shut my mouth and said, oh, that's wonderful. That's great. But that's not the way I'm wired. I'm not wired like that.
I've got to be me.
I'm not hooked up like that. No way am I hooked up like that.
God is not like that either. So
no, but it makes you second guess sometimes. Not that I would double clutch, but it just makes you go like, no. And why would I encourage you to be happy about a bad decision? Car was an absolute wreck. I went like, why did you buy it? Well, I said, but did you do any research on this car? This car this year is known for this stuff. And so it seemed like I was just a Debbie Downer. I wasn't trying to be a Debbie Downer. Maybe that's the way I came off. I was just trying to say, hey, look, you can make better choices because money doesn't flow like that. You don't have money to waste or to burn. So, and again, it was competition instead of succession. But I groomed them for succession. I talked to them about succession. I talked to them about taking over. And instead, it was like, well, we want to do it our way. Well, why would you want to do it your way when I was grooming you to do it the way God had given it to me to be done? What changed? So again, this flow, like we have, I'm going to be ministering to that group at the funeral. Again, I'm going to minister to them again. And this time I have a very different message. very, in my opinion, weird. I've never really done anything like this. There's a massive time constraint on me with respect to this ceremony, massive time constraint. So I've just gone with whatever I felt led in the spirit to do. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to meet the time constraints, and I don't
I
want
agree
to
with you.
bug anybody. I don't want to, drive anybody nuts. So, but there is I don't know whatever we do, whatever I do, my whole setup is I know enough to make you better. I know enough to at least give you a foundation for learning that you can then, you can build on. I may not know everything, and I definitely don't, but my job is to establish foundations. That's my job, and build platforms that everybody can then rise up on. That's why I go to Pakistan alone. Why would I bring you along with me to try and learn how to stoop down to use a toilet? That's just a hole in the ground. Why would I bring you there for that? And I don't even know what it's like. I go first. I go first. I taste it first. And then whether I like it or not, if there's any inkling to come with me, I at least can tell you what to expect, because that's the way I'm wired. I don't want you to be there and look at me and say, Pastor, what are we going to do? And I go, I don't know. I prefer to go first and know exactly what we're going to do, what the limitations are, what the opportunities are, how things work. So I didn't change. I didn't change. I was still inclined to just have their complete best interests at heart. Okay. And instead of succession, there was competition, and okay, there was conflict and contention. Okay, all right, whatever. And me still not even understanding the whole thing at the point, because I was in the moment. And then years later, you see it much more clearly. The dust settles, and you go, okay, that's what it was. All right, no problem. We don't have that chaos, but we don't have the drive either, because it was literally in the DNA of the young. So unless the Lord renews our youth like the eagles, which he can,
Youth.
okay?
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I don't think Denise is saying amen. I think she's saying like, please go away. I want to sleep. But he can't
Praise
do that.
Jesus.
And so, maybe a guide for prayer, but there will be a meeting, and the meeting will be like, this is the state of us, and I just want to know who's with me. Don't say you're with me if you're not with me. Don't raise your hand because you don't want to look conspicuous by the fact that because when I say who's with me, I just mean who's going to ride or die with me, because I cannot trust my vision to someone who simply isn't that committed. If you're not able, willing, and committed to hating your mother, father, sister, brother, houses, and land, forsaking all of that and denying yourself, you cannot be my disciple. As book of Matthew, Jesus said, you cannot be my disciple. I cannot trust the kingdom to someone who's not committed. And it's not that committed, unless you're that, it's not that. It's commitment is defined as 100% sellout and denial. That's what it is. If it's 99.5, you're not capable of being the disciple. You don't have to have a perfect personality or character. You have to have perfect commitment. That's what you've got to have. And you cannot serve God with perfect commitment when your whole persona and psyche is aligned with the gods of convenience. Convenience is the curse of commitment. Because commitment wants hardship. Commitment wants pressure. Commitment wants effort. Commitment wants something to strive against sin. Convenience says, I want a lawn chair. I need a pina colada, and I need some grapes, and I need a peacock fan and some suntan lotion.
Yesterday needs is smiling.
I wasn't deserting your needs, sister. Trust me, I wasn't deserting.
The pina colada made a little.
But the gods
Oh,
of
Lord.
convenience have to go. They have to be destroyed on the
Amen.
altar.
Amen.
The priests that are sacrificing to those gods have to have to be um, have to be slaughtered on the altar by King Josiah
Yeah.
for the sins of Jeroboam. We have got to stop sinning the sin of Jeroboam and worship the God of commitment
Mhm.
rather than the gods of convenience. All right, Sister Yvonne has given me a hint. She's left. So I'm going to let you guys go.
All
God
right. God
bless
bless
you.
Bishop.
If you're
Good
looking
night.
for the videos from our teaching sessions, they are on our
Yes.
website. I finally was able to get them to the
Oh,
website. So if you go on our website, let me just check something here, please.
yeah.
You know what? I've got to go to my share screen to do this. So
Okay.
where is it? Where is it?
And again, this is still not available on my phone because
Oh,
I don't have a laptop or
okay.
oh,
There is a page
and
on
10
our
people.
website called Build. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the menu, it says Build. Let me just
Yes.
go to my browser on my phone and see if I can find r-church.ca. Yes, find that. I want to see what it looks like, Sister V, and see if I can obtain the menu.
Okay.
Okay. The menu is not opening for some reason. At the main page. Okay, the menu is opening now. So on your phone, if you
Okay.
go to r-church.ca, there's a page. There's like 3 or 4 lines to the top right-hand corner. Tap on that, and you'll see a menu, and one of the items is Build. You go to Build.
Let me
I'm
try
doing it on
it.
my phone right now. If you can see it, you
Yeah.
can't see it. And it has the link for our Zoom meetings on that page. So anybody needing the
Just
link
a
can
minute.
just go to that page and do it. And then it has the video links. Video 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, or 4. 1, 2. There are 4 videos posted there because not every session was recorded. So the sessions that were recorded, you can go right there. They were
Okay.
loaded to
All
YouTube.
right.
They were loaded to YouTube so that when
It
you
says
open the link, you'll be watching it on YouTube.
so r.church.ca.
Yes.
I
Our dash church, not dot church. Our dash.
okay. Okay. All right. Okay, welcome. So I go to the bars there, build,
Yes.
and so when I get to build,
Just scroll
leadership
down.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see the link for the leadership meeting. And then at the very bottom, it says
Service
cast
schedule,
videos.
open door prayer meeting. Keep going still. Sign in, sign out.
What are you doing? No, just go to the build page.
I went,
Tap
guess
the
where I
word that
went.
says build.
I did.
Okay. And then just scroll down.
Okay, I'm scrolling. It says build leadership Zoom link. Is that where I
Continue. Keep going.
continue? Yes. Yes.
You should see the
Oh,
YouTube videos.
leadership mindset 1. Okay, I see. Mindset 3, question answer number 9. So there are 4
Yeah,
so far. Okay. Thank you.
okay. So anybody
Mhm.
wanting that, they'll find it there. I'll add more as I get time.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that. I haven't had time to let everybody know where they can find it, but yeah, it's now in one central place, so I don't have to post it all over the.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Bishop.
You're welcome.
All right, my Bishop. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you,
God
Sister B.
bless.
God bless you. Thanks for being a part tonight. Bye-bye for now.
Oh, to God be the glory, my brother. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.